The village lay nestled between towering mountains and a winding river, a place where time moved slowly and wisdom was passed from one generation to the next. Among its people lived an old potter named Elder Jian, whose hands had shaped clay for over 60 years. His pots, bowls, and vases were not just objects of use but works of art, admired by merchants and travelers alike. Yet, more than his skill, it was his patience and understanding of life that made him revered. One day, a young apprentice named Lin approached Elder Jian with a furrowed brow and restless energy. "Master," he said, "I work hard, yet my pots always crack in the kiln. I mold them as you taught me, but still, they fail. Why does this happen?" Elder Jian smiled, setting down the vase he was polishing. "Come, Lin. Let us make a pot together." They walked to the potter's wheel, where Elder Jian handed Lin a lump of clay. "Shape it as you wish." Lin eagerly pressed his hands into the clay, spinning the wheel faster than usual. He molded quickly, eager to prove himself, but his fingers left uneven marks, and soon, the walls of the pot became thin and wobbly. Before long, the clay collapsed. Frustrated, Lin groaned. Again. He grabbed another lump of clay and repeated his effort, pressing and shaping with force, determined to create a flawless pot. Yet, once more, the form crumbled before his eyes. Elder Jian simply watched, his face calm. After Lin's third failed attempt, the old man finally spoke. "Now, watch me." He took a fresh piece of clay, set it on the wheel, and began shaping it with slow, deliberate movements. His hands did not force the clay but guided it, his fingers moving in harmony with the spinning wheel. The clay obeyed, rising into a smooth, balanced shape. Lin watched in silence, his frustration slowly replaced by curiosity. "Why does it work for you and not for me?" Elder Jian stopped the wheel and looked at him with knowing eyes. "Because, Lin, you rush. You treat the clay as something to be conquered, but it is not your enemy. Clay is patient. It listens. If you force it, it resists. If you guide it, it follows." Lin lowered his head, realizing the truth in the old man's words. "But I only want to be good at this. I want to succeed." Elder Jian chuckled. "And that is why you fail. You focus on the result, but true mastery lies in the process. A pot does not become strong simply because you wish it so. It needs time. It must be kneaded, shaped, dried, and fired. Each step has its purpose, and if one is rushed, the whole thing breaks." Lin nodded, understanding dawning in his mind. "So, I must be patient." "Yes," Elder Jian said. "Not just with clay, but with all things. Impatience leads to cracks, whether in pots or in life. If you rush your learning, you miss the lessons. If you force your way, you break what could have been built with care." Lin took another piece of clay, this time approaching it differently. He let his hands move gently, feeling the material rather than controlling it. He slowed the wheel, focused on balance, and shaped the pot with steady, measured movements. When he finished, the pot stood firm and smooth. It was not perfect, but it was whole. Elder Jian smiled. "Now, you are learning." Years passed, and Lin became a skilled potter. But more importantly, he learned the deeper lesson Elder Jian had taught him, that patience and care create not only strong pots, but a strong life. And so, whenever a new apprentice struggled, Lin would pass on the same wisdom: do not rush. Life, like clay, must be shaped with patience. Force leads to failure, but those who move with care will create something that lasts.